That's like zapatilla shit. Woo! I fucking love that song. Woo!
Marco Antonio Soles.
Shut the fuck up. Let me see.
Señoras y señores, buenas tardes, buenas noches, buenas tardes.
El maestro Huh?
For family.
Yeah. Angélica Vale.
De mi llorona, llorona
That
de
song.
azul
That
celeste.
grandma sings.
Dude, Marco Antonio Solís is in this. Oh my god, he's like super like a great musician. Bookies. Dude, that's so awesome. I didn't even know. I couldn't even. Okay, I'm gonna stop
Now
now.
you have to buy the soundtrack.
I do. Why do I need to buy the soundtrack? I have Tidal. So welcome back, bitches. This is a review that I've been waiting for a while now. So as most of you know, we put up a vlog that we had a chance to go see the movie Coco thanks to my friend Ruby. Earlier than most people. We had it, where was it at? It was in some fancy theater. And so we went and we watched it ahead of time. As a lot of you may know, I was very nervous when I saw the trailer. I was very skeptical because, you know, when a non-Latin person takes on a tradition that is Latin, it could go wrong. It could go very wrong. And we've seen it go very wrong. Hence Elena. What? That show? What? So we can see that it can go very wrong, and a lot of people don't understand. I think that when we criticize something very harshly is because it's not that we don't want to be inclusive, or when we say we're very skeptical about non-Latin people taking on a Latin tradition, it's not because we don't want to be inclusive, but we're very protective of. We want it to be portrayed right, like everything that it takes on that is not your culture, or it's not predominantly you weren't very immersed in it. We want it to be represented right because a lot of people still value this tradition. It's a very beautiful tradition. It's still very practiced tradition in a lot of parts of Mexico. So, fun fact that I don't think the director, when we went, we had a little Q&A. They touched upon a lot of the traditional aspects that I wanted to kind of get background on. But Coco takes place in a little town called I believe it's made up because I don't think there's a town in Mexico called Santa Cecilia. But it takes place in a town called Santa Cecilia, and this movie is something that's very important about this movie is music. Because Miguel is really fond of music and his family isn't, and he wants to be a musician. So I found it really cool that a few days after we went to go see Coco with my family, a few days later, my dad woke up and was like, did you guys know that today is Dia del Músico, or the Day of the Musicians in Mexico? Like it's a celebration that they do in Mexico. And they're celebrating the patron saint of music, which is Santa Cecilia. So they named the town after the patron saint of music, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. And I don't think a lot of people noticed that. But I thought that was a really cool idea. So when I went to go watch the movie for the first time, my sole focus was the accuracy of everything. Mm-hmm. I was very nervous because with the Q&A wasn't after, so we didn't really get like a little like taste of what it was gonna be like. We got it afterwards. So there I am sitting, and I'm just like, oh my god, like I'm nervous, it's starting. And the very first thing that I thought when I started is you can see Miguel running through Santa Cecilia, like the little pueblo, little town. Immediately, I thought of my dad's town. I thought, oh my god, like the plaza, the freaking house, the roads, like everything was it just reminded me of my dad's town in Puebla. And that's what really helped me get immersed into the movie. Because after that, like, even what I loved is that I found out afterwards that it was an all Latin cast. The accents, like the accents that they had when they spoke like broken English, it was, a lot of people don't understand that when it's more offensive when a non-Latin person tries to imitate broken English. It's more offensive to, like, as at least to me, it's more offensive when someone non-Latin tries to imitate a broken, like, an accent when speaking in English than just hearing like broken English. Like, for example, you know, the importance of having a real accent, someone that is speaking with an accent that is like their first language is Spanish and speaking in English. That's really powerful to us. And I think that's what I loved about Coco, is that it was an all Latin cast. So what I think one of my favorite characters was his grandma, Elena, because I was sitting next to Ruby, and then there was a scene where she came out with the chancla, and I literally smacked her. I'm like, I'm triggered. I am triggered. And that was really cool. I think the thing that most surprised me though is when they went into the land of the dead. What really got me and what really convinced me that they really did their research and they really had immense respect for this movie was when I saw the alebrijes. Alebrijes are creatures that a lot of non-Latins like don't know about, and they're mystical creatures that were basically like they can be anything. And if you go to a part of Mexico City, there a certain type of year, a lot of artists make sculptures of what they think their alebrije, or like just an alebrije. So you see a bunch of colorful, weird animal things, statues, like just placed on like the sides of the intersections that are made by artists, and those are called alebrijes. Alebrijes are really not like a very, very low key like culture thing for Mexico. So I was incredibly shocked that they were in Coco, because when I saw them and I literally like turned to Ruby and I was like, oh my god, they're alebrijes. Like, they have alebrijes in this movie. Like, no one ever talks about this. There's a movie that I mentioned to Ruby that's called La Leyenda de la Nahuala, and that movie takes place on Dia de los Muertos, and one of the characters in that movie is an alebrije. So alebrijes are not like specifically for Day of the Dead. Like, they could be like they're just their own tradition, but they're used a lot they're very connected to Day of the Dead. So so I thought I like, when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, this movie's doing it for me. This movie is so doing it for me. But the most important thing, aside from the beautiful animation, the really, really great traditions, the language, like the slang that they use. The slang that they use inside in the movie is so on point. I heard at one point carnal. I heard chamaco, which is a very, very big one. I heard mijo. I heard like a lot of citos, like a little like Miguelcito, and I don't know what. Slang wise, yes. And then I think the most important thing about the whole movie was that they did not fail to capture the essence of what Dia de los Muertos is. And the way that they were able to partner it up with music, you know, because at the end you kind of find out that Dia de los Muertos is about never forgetting your loved ones, you know, even though they're not here physically anymore. Dia de los Muertos is a celebration where you really just celebrate them, like celebrate who they were, celebrate the things that they loved.
Did you like the songs?
I did, yeah. I think my favorite though was Poco Loco.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. And then obviously, if you hear Remember Me, you're gonna cry your eyes out. Like, it's such a beautiful, beautiful song. I was sitting there towards the end of the movie, and I was like, I'm not gonna cry. And I started crying, and then I was like, no, it's just gonna be teary eyed. When he was done singing to Grandma Coco, And then Coco says the grandma's name, because I don't think they said the grandma's name anywhere before, right? So I was sitting there and I was like, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry. And then he stops playing the song, and Coco kind of like awakens and like sees her daughter and says, Elena, why are you crying? Tears just burst down my face, because this is like I said, this is like a movie about remembering your loved ones and the ones that passed away. And my grandma was named Elena, and she passed away, and I just lost it. I was like, ugh, like I started crying, like ugly crying, like it was bad. And then even worse, I cried because I went to go see it. I went to go take my mom, my mom Elena, who I call Mama Elena. She was my mom's mom. So I took my mom to go see it, and I saw her crying, and I saw her reaction, and I was like, ugh! Like it was just worse. It was like, it was worse when I went with my family. It was so bad. I was like, I even turned around jokingly, and I was like, y'all are babies. It's like, I didn't even cry. I was like, there were like mocos everywhere. It was so much fun. Maybe if you're non-Latin, you'll finally understand kind of like that. It still gets to you because you finally understand the big emotional connection that we have with our family members. Like one of the biggest things that's very notable in not just Mexican culture, but like Latino culture all in general, is that we're really, 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 really big on family. Like everything about our culture centers around being with our family. Dia de los Muertos, Christmas, when we go and we sit down and watch movies, like it all centers, it all has like some kind of family value. And so when we lose somebody in our family, it's hard. It's really hard. And so you see the movie and you finally, like, non-Latinos will finally understand like how important this, not only this tradition, but like our culture in general, it's just how sentimental it is, and how close to our heart it is.
And I mean, if you're not Latin and you have questions, feel free to comment below.
Yes, please. Like I could answer as much as I can. I don't know like everything, but I think that it was very beautiful that Disney did this, because I don't think we've ever had, like, Disney-wise, I don't think we've ever had, like, Latinos have ever had a movie that they can sit down and be like, that's a Disney movie that represents me. Yeah. Like, you know. And I'm telling you, like, I'm very, very, very thankful for the directors and the producers and everybody that worked on this movie, because they were incredibly respectful. They were very respectful, and they had, from the beginning when they started the project, they wanted it to be as accurate as they could. So they really didn't keep, I think in the director's words, during the Q&A, the director said we wanted it to be we wanted to be authentic, that we really didn't keep it, like, we didn't keep it in secret. We actually opened it up to consultants. They went to Mexico. They got a lot of people to consult. They were not afraid to ask, and I think that's what made it so successful. Another thing that I want to talk about is going back to the dialogue wise. Mm-hmm. What I loved is that stereotypically, what do we call our grandmas? Abuelitas, right?
Oh, I call her mom.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But a lot of people think that like Latinos, like we abuelitas. That's not true. Especially in Mexican culture, we have this type of dialogue that I never ever in my life called my grandma abuelita. Mm-hmm. It was always Mama Elena. My grandpa was Papa Julian. Mm-hmm. We have this tradition, even with some of my aunts, like my aunt that took care of me and unfortunately passed away, I called her Mama Angelica. Mm-hmm. Like, we have this tradition where we call our elders, or we call someone that's really close to us, we call them Mama or Papa. And if you really pay attention in Coco, what's her name? Mama Coco, Mama Elena, mom. Like, you know, they don't call him abuelita or abuelito, they call him mama or papa. Mm-hmm. And I think that right there was like, yeah, that's when you know that like the director really paid attention of like detail. And detail is so important, especially to Latinos, because That's how you kind of feel at home with this movie, is that those little things that people
like it
might,
represents you.
yeah, that represents you, and those little things you don't think make a difference actually make a difference.
Yeah, I didn't realize they did that.
Yeah, and I didn't realize until the second time I watched it. I was just like, wait, he calls her Mama Coco. Like, I used to call him, like, and it's not even his grandma, it's his great grandma. And so, like, my mom was telling me, I was like, I never called, like, your great grandma, like, my great grandma was alive when I was, like, died when I was born. But I got, like, she got to meet me. But she's like, I never called my grandma, your great grandma, like, abuelita. I called her Mama Lupita. Like, that's what I called her. So it was something that we were, like, talking about with my family, and I was like, oh yeah, like, I was sitting there, I was like, oh my god, yeah, like, I didn't even notice that. I can accept it. Like, my nervousness was not, like, my kind of, like, a little, like, resistant towards this movie when I first watched the trailer was not anything near right. Like, I think I was very shocked, and I went in and I was very, very
Finally, Disney
pleased.
did it right.
Yes, finally Disney did it right. The one thing that I don't think anybody noticed, that it stayed true to a lot. I believe it or not, people don't want to accept it, but it's very ironic that our Mexican culture is very, we call it machista, right? Machista means, like, basically, like, misogynist. Like, it's very patriarchy, and, like, you know, oh, the male is, like, the head of the house and whatever. But it's not true. A lot of Mexican women are very, very strong-willed, that their houses are led, like, they're a matriarchy. Like, they're run by women. They're, like, the women are, like, the ones that do the job and get the job done, and, like, not only take care of the house, but bring in the money, and, like, you know, and a lot of people didn't notice, and we were talking about it with my mom and dad. I was like, where's the great grandpa? Well, like, I mean, the only one is Hector.
Huh?
Yeah, the great grandpa is Hector. That's the only one. Okay, and they have kids, right? So where's
You see them, but you don't really.
yeah, where's Mama Elena's husband? Where's Coco's husband? Like, where's the great grandpa and where's the grandpa? You know. But the good thing is, you wonder afterwards in the movie, it doesn't matter. Like, you don't care. It's not part of the story, and it's not important to the story. Shit, no. I don't think there's any pan de muerto. That is so weird. Like, I need to go watch it one more time, and this time I'll pay attention, because this next time that I went, I didn't really pay attention to, like, the food wise. But when I was very excited, because me and my dad are best friends. Like, I love my dad. My dad is my consultant. Like, I love him. So we have a lot of bonding moments. So our bonding moments sometimes are watching movies, but predominantly our favorite movies to bond over and to watch are Pedro Infante movies. Pedro Infante is a very iconic person in Mexican culture, because he was a musician, he was an actor, he was a composer, and pilot. That's just really random in there, but he was a pilot. And he's actually one of the influences for De La Cruz, which is the villain in the movie. And he kind of, so Pedro Infante, like I said, is a very iconic character, and he's very important to me and my dad. So this time around, I didn't notice it the first time we went, but this time, because I went with my dad, I told him De La Cruz is inspired by Vicente Fernandez, Pedro Infante, and Jorge Negrete, which are three very famous mariachi people in Mexican history. So we went to the movie, and when we went to De La Cruz's party in the movie, I noticed for the first time, because I was looking out for it. I wanted to see how many stars, how many hidden, like, Mexican icons were in there. And I almost cried at that part, because he was showing everybody, like, when he thinks that Miguel is his grandson and everything, he's showing him off. So he comes up to one of the scenes, and he says, Pedro, Jorge, meet my grandchild. And it's Pedro Infante dressed as his most famous character in, like, movie history. And Jorge Negrete is standing right next to him. And I saw him, and I literally turned to my dad, and I was like, Dad, it's Pedro Infante and Jorge Negrete. And he was just like, I know. I was just all like freaking out. And then after that, I saw another very iconic person in Mexican history, and he's called Cantinflas. And Cantinflas was in there, and I saw him, and I was like, no way! Like, Cantinflas is in here. Yeah, Cantinflas was in there. El Santo was in there. El Santo is a very, very famous luchador in Mexico, and he was like the top. So when my dad was cracking up when he saw when he's like, oh my God, El Santo, and like whatever. So it was. That's another thing that I really like appreciated, that I think only either people that are very familiar with Mexican cinema or Latino people in general will catch. Like, those are the little things that people are like, oh my God, it freaks them out. The amazing detail that they put on like the Land of the Dead, where like I think the director said one time that the whole like building wise, they wanted it to be kind of like every time a building was torn down in Mexico, it would appear in Land of the Dead. So that's why at the very bottom of every building that you see, it's an Aztec, an Aztec base, because that's where it started. So I thought that was a great detail. From that to the alebrijes and everything, it's. I think you guys are gonna.
It had a great twist too.
Yeah, it had a wonderful twist, and I thought it was so beautiful. One thing that I want to mention that has to be in this thing that I kind of wrote it down. Hopefully I didn't erase it from my notes. It's something that Gael García Bernal, which is the voice of Hector, and who is a very important actor / producer / director, whatever. He's very multi-talented, and very, very important in Mexico. He at the premiere. Hopefully I don't cry, because this is a really beautiful dedication. The premiere of Coco in Los Angeles, he did a speech, and he said this. Don't cry. I want to dedicate this film to all the children who have ancestors from Mexico and Latin America. Stop. In this moment, these kids are growing up with a lot of fear because of the established narrative says that they come from families that come from rapists, murderers, and drug traffickers. We are such a complex and profound culture, and these kids need to be empowered to stand up and say that what is being said about them is a complete lie. He really he's a very intellectual person, and he's best friends with Diego Luna, so that makes it a little bit better too. But he's a very, very, very wonderful person, and a very smart man. So I'm very glad that Disney, or the casting person chose Gael García Bernal to play a very important character in this film. So I'm very glad that all the cast was Latin, and I'm very glad that Gael was in this, and thank you. Because I think you finally made a movie where I can say that represents me as a person. It's not a Disney princess, but just because in Mexico we don't have Disney princesses. We don't have monarchies. So the closest thing is going to be Spaniard princesses, but whatever.
They ruined that too.
Yeah, they did. But whatever. It's okay. Actually, there's a little controversy going on with Coco as well.
Really?
Yes, there's a controversy going on with Coco because everyone's saying, and it's true, they did represent Latin culture and Mexican culture very well. But during the same time, a group of like Mexican directors and producers were actually making their own movie, and it's called Dia de los Muertos, and that's why Coco is named Coco. It's an actual an industry, like a film industry in Mexico that is a Mexican-made film that's called Dia de los Muertos. Then they trademarked Dia de los Muertos because Coco was gonna be named Dia de los Muertos, but since they had trademarked it first, it had to be named Coco. And I agree, because a lot of what people are saying is that they're giving Coco this very big support system and a lot of publicity and everything, and they're talking about how important it is to represent the Mexican culture in this movie and everything. But a lot of people are saying, if you're saying that and if you really believe it, why aren't you going to support this movie that has been that basically was started way before Coco and is made by Mexicans, and it has to deal a lot with our culture. It's like, why wouldn't you go and watch this? So maybe it is. Yeah, it is out.
Have you seen it?
I have not, and I want to. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a separate video, and I'm going to try and get my hands on that movie and Dia de los Muertos and watch it. And really just talk about it, because I do believe that. I mean, Coco's a very good film, and I loved it, and I think it was great.
Now you want to see what the Mexican...
But I want to see, I want to see what the actual, like, what this movie, the Dia de los Muertos movie is about. And give it a little bit of support, because in this channel, like I said, I like to support and I like to really represent Mexican culture. So if it's made by like the Mexican people and like in like a Mexican made film, I wanna see it. I wanna give it a chance. So hopefully I can get my hands on that. We can have a review on that, and I can talk about it, and I can talk about the whole, like, more in depth about the controversy with Coco. So yeah, that is my very, very long rant and very, very long review on Coco. But you have to realize, guys, it's a very good film. So yeah, be sure to comment on any other, I don't know,
any questions
you have. Yeah, any questions.
You saw the movie, you were confused and you were wondering what something was about, or thoughts.
Yes, concerns. Exactly that. Everything Ruby said. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, please leave it down below.
Add us on Twitter,
Instagram, and Snapchat, and direct messages there. We're not scary. We're not gonna bite. We'll talk to you. Like, whatever. Be sure to click the like button on this video. I would love that. Please click the subscribe button as well, because 80 subscribers is amazing, but I kind of want other people to see what's up. But anyway, thank you to share this and share this to your dog, your family members. And be sure to follow me on my social media like Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. And then follow Ruby also. Her link is going to be down right here below. She's very, very active on Twitter. I don't use Twitter because I'm not a very big fan of Twitter, but whatever. I use Instagram, whatever. So yeah, and I will see you in the next video. So thanks, Mexicana Americana. Out.